Welcome to Mindless Consumers. I'm your host, Brendan. And my other host is...
Ivana.
This is a podcast where we talk about media. So that's movies, TV, music, novels. All of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, not just about the things themselves, but people's opinions on them, criticisms, things like that. So, we've watched the new Star Wars.
We have, which is what this first episode is about.
Yes, because we're really unique and original, so we've gone for something that no one else is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how great the Star Wars film was. Because no one is talking about that.
No one's talking about how great the Star Wars film was.
Right. So, yeah. So we went in to the local cinema, watched it. Wasn't blown away by it in its entirety. Being a huge Star Wars buff for most of my life, it's a disappointment. Realistically, which is what are we gonna do? You know, J.J. Abrams just wasn't having it. So we have got a couple of talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that we've mentioned that feed nicely into save it for the podcast. So that's what we've elected to do. Yeah. So what was the first talking point that we had?
The issues with the one thing that most reviews will absolutely talk about, which was the issues with the narrative flow of the story.
Yes.
It feeling like, well, the time skip felt weird.
Yep.
The weird review of what's been going on since the last time that we saw the protagonists felt weird.
Yep.
And then just the whole thing felt like they were jumping from...
It was like they gave us characters that were like the other ones, but weren't the same ones.
Here's a puppet of Rey.
Here's a sock puppet. Force. Because we have Rey. She's come back. Mm-hmm. She is clearly devastatingly more powerful. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact she was so to begin with.
She's devastatingly more powerful.
Training whatsoever.
She's devastatingly more powerful, but yeah, and as of yet still unable to complete her basic Jedi training.
Yes, because she can't do this course she needs to do.
So apparently that angry moment where she kicks the fucking ball droid's shit in with, with a stick. No, because she... Not BB-8. Oh, right. No, that floating fucking orb that she puts her stick through.
A training remote.
There we go. Thank you. Because she does that out of rage, and then she drops the tree on BB-8, and it's all meant to be.
Up with that bigger ball up with a bigger stick.
And this is apparently meant to be, from what I've gathered after watching the movie, not that the movie made any sort of effort to convey that in any clear capacity.
So this is after great reflection.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks.
And looking at other people's reviews. It was apparently meant to be...
You managed to come up with this by yourself after reading everybody else's reviews. Okay.
It was apparently meant to be this thing where the scene that showcases...
A phobia of training remotes. One killed their dad.
No, it's meant to be the scene that showcases how little control she has over her anger and force and power. So it's apparently that it's her hurting BB-8 and her presumably killing Chewie.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Showcase. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yes.
It's 2020. That presumably showcase how terrible she is as a person and set up that narrative.
Heavy leaning into spoilers. Being Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah, or just like dark Rey or whatever.
It's crazy, right? Because I've never heard of a force power being inherent or inheritable. So her having just the ability to do force lightning is, it's technically a dark side power, but that's still something she would have had to have gone for.
It feels like that's
not really something you can do by accident.
Well, it just feels like that's not something that you... It feels like that's not how the Force works.
literally the tagline of this trilogy. That's not how the Force works.
Because surely it's more of a... Yeah. Like, I always thought it was like a thing that...
It's you exactly. You learn to apply the Force in specific ways, almost like you're making a subconscious or unconscious request from the Force to assist in what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So you channel it to give you a boost when you jump, or boost when you move, or lightning.
Yeah.
Is technically. The trouble is, there's so many different iterations of the Force that comes through. Like, everybody else has gone, this is what George Lucas had in mind.
Yeah.
Let's keep to that as best we can.
Yeah.
The new guys have gone, this is what George Lucas had in mind. Fuck that. I want to do the Force how I want to do it. I'm just going to make shit up. And we'll, how it turns out, we'll use the Force as a plot device.
Yeah.
Which isn't what it was in the former ones. It was an accessory, not the plot. The Force wasn't the plot.
The plot, the driving force, if you will, behind the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It felt odd. It felt like... But then it's like, does she have Force lightning because she's Palpatine's granddaughter, or does she have Force lightning because she's an angry person? Like,
if I had to wager, I would say angry person, but they never capitalize on that very much.
No.
It's like, people are always trying to tell me who they think I am. Not even I know. No one knows.
Which is a problem, which is, again, was a problem with, like, the narrative flow of the thing, where she is, I don't know, trying to contact the old Jedi and she can't, and there's this weird exposition bit where she's like, I just can't, they won't speak to me.
I can't contact the Jedi, the ones that came before, because I'm going to need to do it later on in the film where it's really important.
And Carrie
Fisher's...
Fisher's...
now, but I need to exposit that shit.
Yeah, and Carrie Fisher's ghost
is like...
May she rest in peace.
She's literally like... Yes.
Yeah. So...
My man!
Yeah, and then there's a weird section where some random character who is inconsequential otherwise asks her what her last name is, like no one's ever asked her that before, and she's like, oh my god,
we're setting something up.
Shit.
I don't know if you know this, we're gonna set something up. It's gonna blow your fucking mind.
And it doesn't make any fucking sense. It does feel like, it feels like everything that's set up pays off.
He was trying to build a trilogy in just the
one
first
movie.
and third movies.
Yeah,
like I can see where the frustration is between the two, where
between Johnson
and Abrams. where Abrams was like, I had this whole fucking thing sorted and it was going to be amazing, and it probably would have been better. If he'd gotten, it wouldn't have been. It probably wouldn't have been great, but at least it would have been coherent. We'd have understood what the fuck was going on. There would have been points where, in this movie, when something happens, we didn't go, "I'm sorry, what?" That doesn't make any sense. That should have been. Where were the Knights of Ren? It bothers me a lot, to say the least. What are you looking up?
I was just gonna. Do you know why he? Because I never actually followed it, so I don't know why he didn't get to do it.
I don't know. We'll be right back after these short messages. Okay, well, we've just looked it up and we don't know. No one knows.
Well, no, I'm assuming somebody knows, and I'm just being stupid. But I just cannot find it. I can find all of the contention and the fact that Johnson erased all the stuff, presumably. It took a really irreverent tone with all the stuff that had been set up in The Force Awakens, and so in The Last Jedi none of the characters felt the same, and then it fucked up. There were predictions that it would fuck up the last movie, which it presumably it did. If that's the I guess the position that most people are taking. But then there's just something about the way that the Rise of Skywalker was done that feels like it wasn't just trying to react to what happened in The Last Jedi. It was trying to correct stuff that happened in The Last Jedi that people didn't like.
Yep. He was trying to correct... just bring everyone back from the dead. And then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
No. It was two... It seems like it was just two directors who let their egos get the better of them.
Yeah.
Had a little scuffle about a franchise that means a lot to a lot of people. And ballsed it royally.
Yeah.
And now it's apparently it's nobody's fault. It's the fans' fault.
It's the fans' fault for wanting so much and not being able to.
But you could have pleased the majority of them if you just written a good story and stuck to it.
But it just wasn't. So it's like, very few bits about the story, taking it chronologically from beginning to end, which a lot of the reviews do anyway, is good. Not a lot of it makes sense. It all looks like it was pieced together at the last minute.
Yep.
And then, okay, so one of the biggest things was what the fuck was the thing with Palpatine, and why was there a very specific choice to put the fact that
I'm your granddaddy.
Well, that, but also the fact that he'd survived in the fucking opening crawl. He's alive.
Yeah.
So there's an article by Marion Brandon, with Marion Brandon. It's an interview.
Right.
Who was one of the editors who worked on the movie, and she talks about different aspects that piss people off. But one of the things is why we don't hear many details about how Palpatine survived. And the answer is the opening scenes with Palpatine were tricky in terms of how much of the character's backstory to explain, how much to show of him, and what he wanted, Brandon explained.
So that's just not.
It was kind of a delicate balance and went back and forth a lot about how much we wanted to reveal. Some scenes changed quite a bit, the way that we wanted to present it to the audience. In the end, we ended up showing a lot less of it than we started with. There was originally a little more information about it, what was keeping Palpatine alive, but Brandon said it seemed to go off topic. There was so much information in the film and so many characters that we wanted to have an audience concentrate on. I think we felt we didn't want to clutter the film up with things you didn't need to know, she said.
So they covered it up with things that we didn't understand.
Or other things that we didn't need.
Yeah, other things we didn't need to know. Like the fact that Poe is a bit of a player, or his more so,
or his racist stereotype.
Yeah, he was a spice runner.
He's a drug dealer. Yeah.
Yeah, and that has zero consequence for the rest of the. That's not a point. That's a point of contention between the characters for all of
2 seconds,
a minute.
It's lovely.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, that was almost completely pointless. Almost like you've written that to be character development of some kind.
And
but the development has already happened. Poe is already a hero in the eyes of the rebellion.
Well, I mean, it's something to be like, because it ties in with Rey's stuff, right? The whole, like, she has anger issues, but ultimately she is good. So if it's like, that's good character. So if it's like, you know, they all do terrible things except for Finn, who's a baby. They've all, I don't know, because you know he killed some people, I suppose, when he was a stormtrooper. But so they all did.
No, because he said that was his first deployment.
It was. He's never killed anyone. Yeah. You're right. He's a baby.
Unless it comes to the stormtroopers he served alongside, in which case he
has killed some people.
Murdering thousands of them.
No, so I guess it could work as a parallel between Poe and Rey, where, you know, she's doing terrible things and he's had a sort of shady past, but they're both past it, or at least, well, no, he's become a better person, and so can she, and then they can bond, and then it can tie in with all the weird arguments that they were having at the beginning of the movie that also felt weirdly cut and edited.
Which never really got resolved.
That's the point.
Oh, she's alive. Let's hug. Yet, arguably, the best character died.
Yeah.
Which was Ben.
Yeah.
Which was not... I don't mean Kylo Ren. I mean Ben. Ben Solo was the best character. The second he has his... what's it called when somebody becomes good again?
Redemption.
Yeah.
Arc.
Second he redeems. Second he redeems himself and becomes Ben again.
Yeah.
Begin again. It was... awesome. He was awesome. He had so much personality with all of the zero lines that he had.
Yeah.
Ow, I think was the only thing he said.
Yeah.
I can't fully remember, but
nope, that he just says ow.
Yeah, and he was way better than Kylo Ren. More of that, please. He should have been redeemed like at least halfway through.
Well, that feels like he should have been redeemed. Again, that's one of those things that feels like Abrams would have redeemed him somewhere in the second movie.
Yeah.
Had he had any creative control over it. But he didn't.
Nope.
So it felt weird.
It feels like a lot of that stuff would have been set up. The Knights of Ren, and you and I discussing that his turning to the light again, and them just being like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Was really glossed over.
One of those things again, like Poe's spice running thing, which just didn't need to do it.
Yeah.
He could have done something else. He could have done anything else. But so like that and Rey's rage lightning. It was a bunch of stuff that was supposedly it would have been very emotionally troubling for at least one character. That they all got over within minutes.
Yeah.
So Rey uses her force lightning for the first time, blows up a transport that we think Chewie's in, and everyone's like, oh my god,
anymore,
no,
just crispy.
Yeah, and everyone's like, well, not everyone.
Yeah.
Finn's like, oh my god, no, but in a weird voice.
Yeah.
And then they just never talk about it again.
And they all just sort of like, hey, you know, shit happens. We all kill friends every now and again, and they just don't talk about it.
Yeah, and then with the Knights of Ren, it's the same sort of like, oh, he's good now. Well, let's fuck him up with no discussion, no lines of dialogue, nothing.
Mm-hmm. No,
like they're all
you
weirdly
betrayed us.
mute.
Yeah, no, that stuff. He's supposed to be their commander,
or at the very least, someone that they looked up to.
Or give
whatever.
any kind of shit about, and they don't.
No, he's dead now.
Yeah. All right.
Odd.
Next point.
Yeah.
We're just sort of covering everything in that.
Right. Yeah. One last thing about that transport thing.
Yeah.
Looking at other people's stuff. Apparently, that wasn't like, so the way that's explained away with like why they got it, why Chewie wasn't on that transport is because he was obviously on a different transport. So that
we never see.
The ship comes in, lands behind like a rock or something, and then Finn confuses it for a different one.
Right.
So he has no object permanence. So the transport disappears behind a rock, and he's like,
"It's gone.
It's gone."
Yeah.
And then when a transport flies up, he just assumes
I don't know.
he just assumes that it's that transport. But obviously, there were two transports that we never saw, and that Finn didn't see. Were we suddenly with the camera just took on Finn's perspective without telling anyone or making any sort of, just for the purposes of that particular like switcheroo exercise. Anyway, next point. Using Carrie Fisher at all for anything.
Probably shouldn't have done it. Realistically,
felt weird.
It felt really weird, which is a shame because we all love Carrie Fisher. She was brilliant, but should have just taken her out. Yeah. And found someone else. I don't mean like just another actress to play her or something like that. I just mean like just another.
Found an alternative
mother figure.
Or just find an alternative around it.
You know,
you can explain that Palpatine's come back in the opening crawl. You can explain that Leia's gone in the opening crawl if you're going to be like that. Or
they could have
just do something else with it.
Her flesh, got Andy Serkis to play her.
Too soon.
We're
going to have to cut this out.
Oh, okay.
So you were saying?
They shouldn't have used her all.
No, they shouldn't have.
It was, I don't know. I don't want to say it was indecent because she signed a contract. So.
Yeah, but you don't sign. This has been a discussion because it happened. Did it happen before? It happened recently with someone else's likeness.
James Dean.
Or something. I don't remember.
I think they're bringing him back for a film.
Things are hazy. 2019 was a garbage fire.
Yeah.
But either way, it happened recently, like a few months back, and there was the same sort of discussion about like using a dead person's likeness and image and voice and stuff just to make more money, and the discussion centered around the fact that Disney will absolutely jump at any opportunity to do it with pretty much every actor.
They did it with Peter Cushing, with Grand Moff Tarkin. They did it with Carrie Fisher. For her, they will probably keep doing it. Yeah,
and it's like you may have signed a contract.
You can't stop the Disney train, baby.
Well, no, but you may have signed a contract that says that you'll be in that movie.
But the second you die,
when you die, that contract's void. That's how contracts work. Yeah. If you work a normal job at an office, and
they get a bunch of
and you've signed
when you die.
And you've signed a contract that says you're with them
for fixed term for
so pretend you're on fixed term for like a year, right? And then after that year you don't have to work with them anymore, but like you're on fixed term for a year, and 6 months in you die. They don't send raccoons to your
Disney,
house.
They do. They get Andy Serkis to come and hollow you out. He'll wear you to work.
Andy Serkis has to hollow you out and wear you to work.
It's half of the fun. It's why he does it.
Oh god. Yeah, okay.
Shit, I've made a callback. We're gonna have to keep the other bit in.
Have to keep the bit where you just die
I was
by the microphone.
Devastating about that princess.
Yeah. So, okay.
Right. Yeah. No, it was. No, I miss Carrie Fisher. She was fucking brilliant. She was a proper slice of fried gold. But her autobiographies are fantastic. I'd really recommend reading those. If not, they're on Audible.
Which we're not sponsored by for this first
episode. We are not sponsored by Audible yet, but we are holding out for some of that sweet, sweet book money. For the record, since we're nearly at the halfway point, if anybody wants to help us sell out, we will do it
immediately.
Absolutely,
we will do it.
No haggling. Please give us money.
Do you know how some creators talk about only signing up with sponsors that are relevant to their interests, that they're not selling shit to people that they don't care about?
One of us has read a book once, so we're fucking right in on that. I've never listened to an audiobook, but I'm going to start if
we're sponsored by
Yeah.
No, that's all. Your mum has audiobooks in her car. You listen to audiobooks
by
proxy.
I always listen to music instead.
You just turn off her audiobook.
Yeah, literally. It's like, you listen to that shit elsewhere. Put the crunk on. Right, next talking point. Next talking point.
I was just going to move on from like the ethical concerns of using Carrie Fisher and the fact that it's very cynical and weird and it looks like Disney's trying to cram things down our throats.
It's disrespectful.
To just generally the writing again. So Leia's relationship with other characters in that movie.
Where she's super jank and doesn't... She's super jank. She does not... It feels like they're not talking to her.
No.
Which defeats the point of having her in the film.
Yeah.
It was like... completely pointless.
It's all really like stock lines and stuff that didn't need to be there. Like they spent, I don't know, cumulatively like 5-6 minutes of film time doing back and forth lines between her and Rey.
Yeah.
And then I think did she have some interaction with Poe or someone at some point? I don't remember. I
feel like she did, but I can't just really picture it.
I completely zoned out.
There was
myself.
one, but that was after that was as she was bedridden.
Right.
And he goes over and he's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be the general. And
right.
then she's like, you can be the general. And he's like,
do it.
I can be the general. You got it.
I'm pumped.
Finn, I need you. And then it was beautiful and cute.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, first of all, thank you. I need you too. You are my sun and stars.
But yeah, it didn't add anything. It seemed very weird. And then there was obviously the whole excuse that they used with why Rose wasn't in it, because obviously Rose was with Leia the whole time.
Yeah.
Because at the script stage they were like, oh, this is gonna be great, and I'm like, why would it be so great? Why?
What, that Rose
Why
wasn't in
does?
it?
Well, no. Why? No, it's like it would be so great
We're
if
writing Rose out. It's gonna be great.
it would be so great if Rose was at Leia's side the entire time, and I don't understand that at all. I don't understand what went on in the writers' room where they were like, these two characters need to be
Rose
together.
clearly isn't good for business. Take her to the take her to the Inferno room. Have her disposed of.
Yeah.
That poor little actress.
Like, even if
Well,
yeah,
actor,
even
sure.
if well,
I don't know how they like to be referred to anymore.
actor,
Is it actor?
just because
Whatever
neutral
whatever
term.
term she likes to be referred to as.
That one.
Good, more power to her.
Yeah. But yeah, it just she could have been with the team. Why was she not with the
I don't know. I liked her.
She was nice.
I liked her character. She was cute, and I thought there was going to be hope for, just a chance for Finn to have a human connection with somebody else.
Well, no, because they set up that human connection between him and was it Jana or Jaina, the other First Order
The Stormtrooper. Yeah.
Stormtrooper.
Traitor.
And then did nothing with that either.
Nope.
Like
Because Lando comes in and he's missed to steal your girl,
even
if it's his daughter.
Hi, I'm your dad,
Yeah.
but also apparently.
But we're not going to
weird
allude to
flirty
that
love
at
interest.
all.
Yeah, it's just like
It's like, let's just go and find out who you are.
let's find out
What
who
does
you
that
are.
mean? Why is that weirdly sexually loaded? I'm not
Lando.
wrong. Yeah, it
No,
is. It
felt
it
weird.
was him.
It's just no, that was really odd.
Yeah.
There was a brief sort of mention about how Rey just has amazing powers from the very beginning, and then there's a showcase of her training badly, which I'm assuming is meant to fix some of the complaints regarding her being all powerful.
Yeah.
But they do very little. There's then loads of stuff about her force powers. She heals that worm, that slug, that giant thing.
Yeah.
When they fall into the hole, and she just does it. She just heals it, and she's just like, everyone out my way. I'm gonna force transference the shit out of this worm.
Yep. I'm just gonna make up a force power.
No, force transference has been a thing.
I've not. I mean, where is it? Else has it been? If it's been in like Rebels, or if it's been the Clone Wars or the Rebels or something, I haven't seen it before because I haven't seen those. But I have not seen that. It's in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? Oh, is that the one with
Where
Anakin is channeling
Anakin channels
the daughter? Yes. Yeah. Oh god. Okay. Yeah, that was actually really good. But still, that's a daughter power, right?
Yeah.
And Anakin just channels it.
Well, it's not a daughter power. It's just it's a force power, but he needs to.
Yeah,
he
but
needs
the
to
daughter
channel
is
it.
a being of nigh on pure force. She's crazy strong.
Yeah.
But Rey can just do it because fucking why not? that really that. I'm not George Lucas. I'm not whoever is running Disney. I'm not whoever's writing those shit films. But
yeah.
there is no build up to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just she needs a power. Just fucking give it to her. It's like, no, that's boring. I want to see her earn it. I want to see her fight for it. I want to see her figure it out. Yeah. Not just, I'm going to try this thing. And then it works.
And it just happens.
Like, oh, fuck off. I'm sick of your shit.
Right, so the thing that I was going to ask about, which is on my little post-it note, was you've played Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
And Cal isn't anything like that.
No. So, spoilers for Cal. He is a Padawan.
He was the protagonist of Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes, Cal Kestis is a human protagonist. He's a Jedi Padawan, and it takes place a couple of years after Order 66. His master gets killed, and he's like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to hide on Bracca, which is just a salvage planet.
Yeah.
And he does so, and then he gets picked up by some characters who accompany on his journey. He gets gradually more powerful, as you would in a game.
Yeah.
the way that it explains his very quick progression, because he's only on the road on the hyperspace trail for like a month or something, and he or so, and he gets exponentially more powerful through that time. But he was always that powerful. That's the point. There is a point where you activate his last like little skill tree thing, which is double jump. And he's like, finally, I'm at the stage I was when I was a Padawan.
Right.
When before his master died.
Yeah.
He's not learning all these things. He's just remembering them.
Right.
So he already knew. His body was already trained to do what it needed to do to activate those powers.
Yeah.
He's not becoming exponentially stronger just because the plot demands it. They found a way to make it realistic and reasonable. He severed his... He didn't fully do it, but he, for the majority, severed his tie to the Force and started building it back up again and opening his overtly willing body to the Force again. And then he gets strong. He's nothing compared to Vader, because he's still just... I mean, he's a Jedi Knight by the end.
Yeah.
But Vader's beyond master level.
Right.
But yeah, they had a realistic explanation as to why he grows so quickly.
So it's the thing of like he's essentially like relearning how to ride a bicycle. But, there's still part of it is because it's a video game, and so you progress through a skill tree that you're accessing and leveling up by yourself. But they've still managed to fit in a narrative flow to it, so the way that the story
explanation.
progresses.
Genius, really good.
Which is not difficult to have in a movie.
No,
where she's not so good at the beginning, and she could be powerful and talented and good at it, but clumsy. If there were multiple moments like the one where she accidentally uses the Force lightning from the very beginning, where she just does random shit that hurts people or that or hurts herself or something, and she doesn't need training to amplify her powers. She needs training to learn how to control them. And then sure, you can also push the narrative of her being really easily led to the dark side because she's so powerful and it comes so easily to her to just destroy.
Thing is, Anakin, who's supposed to be the chosen one or whatever, is
that thing. So I was gonna come back to that.
That thing. He is not strong at the start. He's just a kid. He does clearly have a connection to the Force, which is why his reflexes are so quick in the pod racing scenes. Because a normal human can't pull it off. They're just not fast enough. But a Jedi can. And when he moves from that all the way, think of that little kid all the way up to... How old is he when he gets a seat on the council? Like, it's like 20 years have passed or something.
A decent amount, yeah.
So like 15 in the least. He's
Keep going.
He's like 10 or something at least when he's a kid. Now this is pod racing. All that shit. Then he has to go through all of the trials and tribulations that you do. That takes a considerable amount of time. Even for the chosen one, who is supposed to be ronculously powerful. 22. What? So he accomplishes it all in 12 years, thereabouts.
Proves to be a very gifted duelist and Force user, being appointed to the Jedi High Council at the age of 22, though being denied the rank of Master.
He is, yes, because he's... emotional.
Yeah, which again would have worked really well with Rey.
Yeah,
if that's what.
But the thing is, Rey encounters her Force powers like she's 21, and then she's massively powerful. Yeah. Just at the end of her 21st year. So her growth in power is ridiculously quick.
With the amount of time that they spent on the same flashback of her parents driving away, flying away,
leaving her in the Walmart parking lot.
They could have spent some of that time they could have spent some of that time with flashbacks of her just exhibiting Force powers as a child.
Yep.
and not knowing what they are. Because it's easier, it's a lot easier in an environment and in a context where, you know, people know what Jedis are or know what the Force is. But the whole point of the new trilogy was that they're gone and no one knows what they are, and no one would necessarily be able to recognize Force powers when they manifest. So she'd just be doing weird shit in the desert.
And even if there was nobody around to see, she'd still be showcasing some of that ability. Because that kid manages to pull a broom to himself.
Yeah.
That's a pretty minor Force power.
Yeah.
You know, he probably can't pull a Star Destroyer out the sky like Starkiller can, but, you know, he's exhibiting that. I believe that kid could be the guy who saves the world.
Fairly
or something.
powerful.
Yeah,
well, no,
guy or girl, I don't know. I couldn't actually see properly.
She could, I think it was a boy, but she could. There could have been just a couple of scenes, and then it sets it up so that when she comes into her powers, I guess more properly or something. When she's 21.
Thing is, the Force is again, it's the The Force comes through in like a lot of things. So it can be emotion, it can be training, it can be both. Usually you unlock the Force kind of as a response to something, appropriate stimuli. Cal Kestis manages to reawaken the Force to save his friend from dying. Others might just exhibit Force traits like quick reactions or something else, and you're like, well, usually Force powerful people can just identify other Force powerful people, so you can just tell most of the time, discounting midichlorians because nobody likes that shit. But there's even Luke, who is supposed to be even stronger than Anakin was, who was supposed to, like, in the original expanded universe, was supposed to be able to become a Force ghost while he was still alive, which made him like, it was like God mode activated, and he was ridiculously strong enough to stand up to, what was her name, Azeroth, or is that a place in World of Warcraft? Oh my god, what's her name? It has an A and a Z in it, I'm positive, but she's the mother of the daughter.
Right. Okay.
So she drank from two, like, they're like well springs of the Force. Yeah. And she literally drank pure Force from the light side and the dark side, and became pretty much a literal god. Right. Within that, she cannot be beaten. She cannot be killed. Luke couldn't beat her, but he was good enough to stay ahead of her. Yeah. And he become so crazy powerful, but it took him fucking years. He spent years at it. If you look it up, whatever it is, the time difference between 4, 5, and 6 is like between 4 and 5 is like something like 5 years. Yeah. And then 5 and 6 is something like 15. Yeah. You know, he's been out there
training for
lightsaber
years.
Chopping wood.
Yeah.
You know, bulking up for years to become big, strong enough to challenge and defeat Vader. Yeah. And even then he gets fucking toasted by the Emperor. Yeah. And can only win because he pleads to his father for help. Yeah. Which is a beautiful scene, and it's wonderful and redeeming and fantastic. But Rey has none of that. Yeah. And I have no problem with having strong characters. I have no problem with wish fulfillment or power fantasies. Yeah. I believe those have a place in video games, not in film. You watch a film for a story. And yes, you play a video game for a story, but it's one that you're supposed to live vicariously through. Yeah, but you're supposed to be in that story, not just watching it.
But the problem is that, like with Cal, where you have video games that are, well, most video games that act primarily as wish fulfillment, or, well, all video games are interactive, so they all can be wish fulfillment. But it's easier for role-playing games and action-adventure games to be wish fulfillment than others, where you have some semblance of control over the character that you're playing as, in some element of customization. Yeah. And any element of customization...
give different ponchos.
Yeah. But any element of customization in a video game, especially when it comes to skills and skill trees, which are so popular, requires that character to start off weak. Yep. in some way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Even in a film or something, showing just some kind of difference, because
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rey is the same person at the end as she is at the beginning. She's stronger and believes in the Force a bit more.
She's worse. Arguably.
But she is arguably a worse character or a worse person.
At the end than she is at the beginning, yeah.
Sh-
She goes around telling all of her friends that she doesn't have time for them.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which is, whatever, you're in a war, I guess. It's... You don't have time for everybody.
Well, right, but there's this whole thing about family and how she doesn't have any. And she goes
then she
around...
neglects the one she gets.
Yeah. Finn's
Which is understandable. If she's never had one, she doesn't really know how to act with one. But...
It's an odd shift from in The Force Awakens where Finn's like really clingy.
Yeah.
But she responds to him in a human way where she's like...
That isn't just, my favourite pet.
Well, no, she responds to him in a human way where she'll like, she'll make sure he's okay and watch out for him and stuff. And she seems genuinely upset when stuff happens to him. Yeah. Whereas in The Rise of Skywalker, she's just like, I hate that. I can't stand this guy.
Other people.
Can you shut up?
Yeah.
And then the other half of the time, she's arguing with Poe about how much of an ass he is apparently.
Being a fucking grump in general. Get over yourself. But yeah. I mean,
the Skywalkers and Palpatines have not been linked for millennia. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. All right. All right. Next talking point.
I'm gonna shove a bunch of them into one.
Okay.
The weird Reylo payoff.
Yeah.
They must kiss. And then linked to that, the weird non-payoff for Finn and Poe.
Yeah. Would have been a very, very cute, realistic same-sex relationship development.
And I think the fun thing...
I mean, at least I think. Obviously, I'm not gay, so I don't know. Matter. Yeah, so I don't know if it's different.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
I just don't want to talk like I'm an authority when I'm clearly not one. So.
I'm straight, so therefore I cannot comment. You can.
Okay.
Because you're commenting on it as like...
For the record, you are not straight.
No.
So it's not another straight person giving me the go-ahead.
It's not... oh, God.
Call me Brennan.
It's not like saying that, it would have been cute, is that you're not allowed to, because it doesn't matter. If it's one of those things where... Because I guess it comes down to the reasoning as to why you think it would have been a good thing or a nice thing to have, or it would have been cute. And
because it was the most realistic just relationship between two people that I saw for the entirety of that film. Yeah. And if they turned out to be gay and just kissed at the end, I'd have been like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I get
had really good on-screen chemistry.
Yeah, they had amazing on-screen chemistry and off-screen chemistry. John Boyega and Oscar Isaac were into it.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill was into it. Everybody was like, yee.
Well, my favorite thing about, I think, so my two favorite interactions between like the cast and the press,
is Oscar Isaac going?
Is Oscar Isaac?
You ever going to be in another film? Nope.
Nope. You ever going to work with Disney again? Nope.
Yeah.
But they could pay you so. Nope.
Yeah.
And just generally, and there are interviews of him just being like, no, it should have happened.
Yeah.
And it's just a bunch of journalists like, oh, what? And he's like, it should have happened, and he gets his
Disney
little out.
Disney has paid us to not ask these kinds of questions.
And he's like, yeah, I know, but I've got my talking points.
Yeah.
And then my other favorite thing is Daisy Ridley being like, oh, yeah, Kylo Ren and Rey.
Where the fuck did that come from?
And then gagging noises in the background. But that was at the end of... So that was when she was doing the press tour for The Last Jedi, where people were like, oh, are they going to kiss? And she was like, I hope not.
Yeah.
And then they do. And...
Which was, again... It wasn't really a payoff because they hadn't established that really. They had a connection.
Yeah.
So
going back to that article that I was talking about with the interview with the editor, her answer for why there's a kiss between Rey and Kylo Ben is that is that it just made sense narratively.
Did it?
Well, apparently. So they essentially they set something up.
Did she watch a different film?
They set something up at the beginning of the movie, and then it paid off at the end of the movie. You know, as if this was a standalone movie that had never had any other movies linked to it ever. You were just watching it on its own. But there was all this lore behind it that you were meant to know about for it to make sense. So yeah, it's just like, oh, it just made sense, and it's like, I suppose, but they didn't have that. They didn't have that consistent chemistry for 3 movies. They had some in the last movie, and it was because they were apparently a Force dyad, as revealed by Palpatine. Which means shit for Dick, because no one else has been a Force dyad ever.
I don't know. It is just a bunch. It's J.J. Abrams with super glue and a staple gun, just trying to like, I had a plan, I had stuff. He ruined it. Yeah. Trying to stitch together his narrative idea that he tried to establish in the first one, got fucked up in the middle, and was just like, I can't counter that. No.
But it also feels like there was, so his to-do list, his agenda for this movie wasn't just, I need to fix all the stuff that's been fucked up in The Last Jedi.
The thing is,
I also need to...
I need to come up. I'm coming in with something in a minute.
Okay. It wasn't just, I need to fix all the stuff that's been fucked up. It was also, I must pander.
Yes. That excellently segues into what I'm after.
Yeah.
If Disney were like, you know what, fuck it, let's have that same sex scene. It's going to be amazing. Oscar Isaac and John Boyega are going to kiss, and we're going to pretend that it's got anything to do with the movie.
Yeah.
And they do. And all of the bigots or whatever, all the people that are like, oh, same-sex marriage, gross, retching noises, whatever.
Right.
We're like, oh, terrible. It's too late. They've got your money.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the film. It doesn't matter to you anymore.
Yeah.
The cinema, and therefore J.J. Abrams is rolling in a bed of your money. You don't matter anymore.
Right, but they had that. So they had the scene. The scene. They had a scene of 2 women kissing in the background, which was apparently easy to edit out for China.
Yeah. So would have been if Finn and
Poe had kissed.
Yeah.
But what bothered me is that's the opposite of what you've just mentioned. So it was going, because in the run up into the premiere, there were discussions, like including from Abrams himself in interviews, going, there's gonna be gay characters in my movie.
Yeah.
Without any sort of other information, just there's gay characters in my movie, which is.
Hey, there's gonna be gay characters in this movie, so all the gays better come and watch it.
It's queer baiting.
Yeah, we've put some stuff in just for you. So you who's listening to this who's gay, you better come and watch the film because it's for you specifically.
No.
And Disney's adamant refusal, because there is no way in hell, no way in that cold, icy Mickey Mouse branded hell do they not go, we a lot of these people on the internet are saying that Finn and Poe should be together. Somebody in that office was like, have you guys seen what's been happening online? Loads of people, 2 of the guys that are contracted with us, Oscar Isaac and John Boyega, are talking about it. We know. There is no way they didn't know that was an option.
Oh no,
and they don't. And they would have known that loads of people would have loved it.
I don't trust it, and this is where I wanted to segue into like the final.
Your conclusion.
Point. The final point. Yes. That I don't trust the narrative that, like, Disney's a big monolith and a soulless corporation into which the hopes and dreams of many children go and never come back.
I mean, have you saw the Flash Gets thing?
Yeah. Just
Mickey Mouse is grinding up children.
Some kids for Toy Story.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Disney's this big, massive soulless corporation, blah, blah. They're quintessential capitalism. All of their stuff is they make stuff to make toys, to sell
Feed
toys.
the children to the children.
Yeah. And they appeal to a wide range of ages. Everyone buys stuff from them, blah, blah. But
we should create an alternate character,
Yeah.
Ricky Rat, buy stuff.
Shut up, buy stuff.
Yeah.
You've seen that photo of like a really like disheveled Mickey Mouse mascot costume in like the basement of something?
No.
No? Okay, so it's a meme that went around for a bit where it's literally just like this really disheveled, torn up Mickey Mouse costume.
What, just like on the floor somewhere?
No, with a person in it.
Oh.
And I don't
like
know
how much
of it. I don't know how much of it is doctored. So I don't know.
It's
like,
5 Nights at Disney.
5 Nights at Disney, but he's in like a fucking basement somewhere, and the lighting's really horrible, and it just looks like, and it always makes the rounds with some like weird caption about Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Ricky Rat.
Okay.
He lives in the basements of Disney World.
Of the Disney castle.
Yeah. Right, but
Mickey Mouse basement, man.
have you found it?
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's half human. There's half person in that.
There's a person in there.
Yeah.
I want to believe that it's real and it's just someone's just accidentally wandered into the basement and picture of that. No, but so I don't.
If you type in Mickey Mouse basement, it comes up with a bunch of really weird shit with Mickey Mouse.
Is there porn?
No, he's a xenomorph.
Oh, a xenomorph.
He's a xenomorph in that
I thought you were going to say xenophobe, and I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh, no, that shit. No, that shit in mine. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so yeah, I don't believe the entire, I guess, story that we're being fed, which ties back to what our podcast is ultimately about. I don't think that this, because there's a bunch of like stuff going around. One that it's
this film was bad, then you should feel bad.
The film. Oh. The film isn't getting a great reception because you can't please all the fans, and especially with Star Wars fans, like who can please Star Wars fans? Loads of people.
Yeah.
And also Star Wars fans.
Everybody at Respawn.
Yeah. And also Star Wars fans is such a like all-encompassing thing. Loads of people are Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. Everyone's fucking seen Star Wars. The only people who haven't seen Star Wars were in Star Wars, which is a reference.
Is that an Adam Driver joke?
No, it's from How I Met Your Mother.
Awesome.
Anyway,
right.
So final point was that I don't believe this narrative that was going, or the set of narratives that was going around that was like, oh, well, the movie didn't do well because you can't please all Star Wars fans. And it's like, loads of people watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Loads of people enjoy Star Wars in different forms, and they're all Star Wars fans. And yeah, it's kind of the bigger the demographic, the harder it is to please every single person.
Yeah.
But putting out something decent that most people are like, yeah, that was all right, isn't difficult. You're a writer, it's your job.
Yeah.
Appealing to a mass audience is your job. The other thing of like, so the other thing of Disney wouldn't let us do X or Y.
Like a scapegoat?
It felt like a scapegoat argument where it was like, because Disney's it's a broad, vague, all-encompassing thing. Who at Disney? Which producer? Which executive?
Point out in this picture. Look at these mugshots. Which one of these?
It would have been a collective decision.
Come to the lineup. Point out the one.
Taking everyone into account. There would have been decisions made at various stages, like with when you look at stuff, with like why was Palpatine this way, and you have an editor going, oh, we just didn't, we cut bits out. We had stuff written in the script, and then we cut it out at the editing stage, and then probably further up the line, someone else cut some more bits out, and so it just going, well, Disney just doesn't like gay people is not enough. Yeah. And it does feel like, well, no, because it means that ultimately, you know what, it means that no one fought hard enough. So even if it was like, even if the executives, even if the higher ups were like, no gay people, the fact that you could get a kiss in at all means that someone was like, no, we need this. Yeah. This will sell. Because
they got a checklist
of things.
Yeah, they got a checklist on a clipboard.
Yeah.
With it's got a black guy in it.
Yeah.
It's got a woman in it.
Yeah.
It's got we need a gay. At least one. Okay, well, we'll just double down, get two. Quick kiss, we'll cut it out in post, don't worry.
Yeah.
What's the point?
And then it's just also just one of those things of like, if anyone cared enough, I'm sure they could have made a fairly decent argument for, it will make us loads of money if these two prominent like protagonists kiss rather than they're gay.
As long as they're both straight and white, that's what matters.
But neither of them are.
What, Adam Driver or
what? Oh no, I meant I was talking about John Boyega again.
The actual payoff of the actual kiss.
Oh no. Like I
thought you were making a really sarcastic.
No.
Okay.
So it more just in terms of like, because they were arguing that this would have never passed by the Disney executives. I'm like, but a kiss did pass by them, and the argument was most likely whoever made it, that we should have this in here because it will please a bunch of people and it will make the movie sell better. So why couldn't that person, whoever they were, care more about the cause and be like, or care more about representation in general and less about money, but still argue it from that perspective of, what will make us more money than two obscure characters kissing in the background, two notable characters kissing.
Yep.
Or something, I don't know. So that's where it feels like just going, it's this vague thing that doesn't let us have gay people in anything. It doesn't feel like a real argument. And then the final thing was, that's what's stopping us. Yeah. And then the final thing was just, Johnson and Abrams didn't get along.
Whoever's running Disney was suspended by a crane. No gay people.
No gay people here.
No kissing.
And then the last thing was Johnson and Abrams just don't get along, and aren't they adorable when they fight?
Isn't it wonderful that the two directors in the world that don't get along
happen to work on a thing together,
work on the same thing.
And they couldn't be adults about it.
One of, if not the most profitable franchise in the world, and they choose to fuck about with it.
Yeah,
it's like, why couldn't you have just not done that? How about that? Money. Isn't that what it's all about? Money. Sponsor us, someone, please. We are
ultimate
poor.
Conclusion being that like there's loads of reviews out there that have gone into more detail about what specifically all the different aspects that were bad, Palpatine's entire fucking existence in the movie being terrible, Rey's unemotional reaction to everything that happens being terrible, Finn shouting Rey for most of the movie being a terrible idea, Poe shifting spice being a terrible idea, but all of those things tie back to it just felt like a cash grab and a really cynical one.
If they'd have I don't want to say like if they'd have just put it off and then just done it better, because I just don't feel like there was ever going to be a better.
No.
Like with the situations that all came to pass, I just don't feel like anyone who had a hand in its like the higher ends of its production, so not the actors or the poor fucker behind the camera, or any of that stuff. The J.J. Abrams, the writers, the execs at Disney, none of them gave a shit. They just cared about the money that it was bringing in.
Came across as,
which is disgusting. Sponsor us. All right, that is the first episode of, what are we called again?
Mindless Consumers.
Cool. And so far so good. That was pretty good.
Thank you for listening.